Welcome back. Hopefully you're having a fun time with all these different goal tactics we have available for you. We're going to cover one more today. So we've covered the SMART goal filter, we've covered the 1-3-5 goal filter, and this last one is the 4 disciplines of execution principles, 4DX. This is from some amazing minds out there. They wrote a book called 4 Disciplines of Execution, and they really got into the nitty-gritty of how does one take a goal and accomplish it. They identified these 4 principles we're going to go over today on how to best accomplish the things you want for yourself. So let's dive right on in with the 4DX, 4 principles of execution. Principle 1, have a wildly important goal. Have a WIG. Have a wildly important goal. What this principle is saying is, if you want to accomplish goals, you should probably only have one at a time. It's fun to have a list, but if we try to do all of it at once, run every direction all at once, we're going to find we've gotten nowhere. So to accomplish goals, we should start with one, identify that as the most important, and see it through to the finish before moving on to the next one. When you've identified that one WIG, it's time to move on to the second principle, the second discipline. That is identifying lead versus lag measures. We've been talking a lot about goals that you can measure, goals that you get specific about. This second discipline, lead versus lag, really doubles down on that concept. So many times we focus on the result versus what we need to do to get to that result. Think about people who say maybe that I want to lose weight or I want to make more money. But all they're doing is getting on the scale and looking at what currently is in front of them, or they're checking their bank account to see what's currently in front of them. You can't get on that scale and magically change the number by just doing that. And you can't change that bank account number by just looking at it, right? We have to identify lead measures. That's what we've been talking about in the previous exercises, is what are those measurable, actionable things you can control right now that you can go out and do to change that leg? Tracking your calorie intake, right? Monitoring your healthy eating habits, improving your cardio, improving your strength, doing those things, running, going to the gym, eating the right stuff. Those are lead measures that we can maintain, monitor, and use to change that leg. That's how we change that number, not just by getting on the scale and staring at it, right? So what is so crucial, and I hope you retain this from all the 3 different goal-setting tools we're going over, is that you need to identify those actionable lead measures, what you can control, what you need to do on a regular basis to hit a goal. If you can identify the wildly important goal and then identify the lead measures that'll be the focus of your actionable steps, we can now move on to discipline 3. Discipline 3 is to have a scoreboard. We've talked about measuring progress. How do you know if you're winning or losing? You got to have a scoreboard. Taking these lead measures you've identified, you got to put them in some sort of visual format that you can see and others can see. And it's literally you updating the progress of these lead measures on the way to the goal you want to accomplish for yourself. There's power in knowing that, right? You wouldn't be playing as hard if you didn't know what the score was. If you're in the NBA Finals and you know you're down, you're going to step up the intensity. If you didn't know what the score was, like you don't know how hard you're supposed to play. You don't know what you're supposed to change. You don't know if you need to change. A scoreboard lets you know where you stand, and with a scoreboard, you can tell if you're behind on point ahead of the game, and if you're behind, well, you can look at these lead measures and say, what do I need to change? What do I need to increase? Final discipline. This one is probably the most important. The first 3 are kind of setting up the game so you can play it. And then this 4th principle, this 4th discipline, this one is having a cadence of accountability. As you're doing this stuff, as you're going out and doing these lead measurable actions, you should have accountability beyond yourself, keeping you honest. Again, we've mentioned accountability in the previous couple of activities of tools for goal setting. As humans, we just can't trust ourselves to do it by ourselves. We cannot have the discipline for just ourselves to achieve. I think there's something in the book that says if you try and do it all for yourself, by yourself, your efforts will disintegrate to the wind within maybe a couple weeks max. But if you have someone beyond you, cheering you on, holding you accountable, pushing you, giving you crap if they have to, that external accountability can push you to stay on track. You must have external accountability. And that term, having a cadence of accountability, having a cadence of accountability that's consistent. Accountability, regular check-ins with this person, weekly if not daily, to report to someone else, to look at that scoreboard, to show your progress or lack thereof, to have honest conversations with that person, for them to tell you maybe what you don't want to hear, to tell you you're behind and that you need to change something to hit that goal. We need that external person. Those are the 4 disciplines of execution. Identify your one wildly important goal, identify the lead measures that you can control and act upon versus just staring at leg measures. You need to have a scoreboard, a visual place for you to track your progress that others can see and understand. And lastly, you need that cadence of accountability with a partner, someone who will hold you accountable beyond just yourself trying to hold you accountable. You input those 4 things, that structure into your goals, and you're going to set yourself up to have some wildly successful time as a realtor. Here's your homework. Find a partner, look for someone, and start building out these other 3, the first 3 principles, the disciplines. Put this into action with one of your goals and see it through to the end, through to the finish line you'll create for yourself.